What's up, Detroit? Welcome to another episode of Authentically Detroit, broadcasting live from StreamYard. I'm Sam Robinson.
And I'm Donna Davidson.
Thank you for listening in and supporting our efforts to build a platform of authentic voices for real people here in the city of Detroit. We want you to like, rate, and subscribe to our podcast on all platforms. We're here with Eboni Taylor discussing her vision for District 3. That's the state Senate seat up for grabs as term-limited Stephanie Chang says goodbye. She is saying hello, though, to Eboni, who earned the endorsement from the longtime state senator Stephanie Chang. Eboni, you are a lifelong Detroiter. You are a daughter of the Eastside. Eboni believes that Detroiters deserve better. We spoke at length at the Michigan Chronicle office 2 weeks ago about your vision, about your campaign to expand healthcare, provide more funding for our public schools, address housing affordability, and just kind of overall our affordability crisis that people are experiencing at grocery stores, where you go to Costco and that 4-pack of beef ribeyes that used to cost $50 are now $70. You go to the gas station and your gas in the neighborhoods that used to cost $2.97 is now looking like the gas in Midtown and downtown that's $3.50. You go across the state and it's $4 in some areas. In the aftermath of this Iran war. Eboni Taylor's campaign kicked off because her community asked her to step up. Eboni, you talked about the sort of encouragement from State Senator Stephanie Chang, who we just heard from. She did a coffee hour with Tanya Myers Phillips at Mama Shoes Avalon Village.
Yes.
Today. That was
just
cool.
Left.
Yes, we were just in that room. I had never been actually in the.
It's nice.
In the homework house. Yeah, it looks nice. Certainly for those residents there, they got a new basketball court and they got a fireplace and a community garden area. So talk, Eboni, about that third state Senate district, the boundaries, because it is Detroit, Highland Park.
Yeah.
Mostly that east side of Detroit. Talk about the boundaries.
Yeah, sure, Sam. And thank you to you and Donna for inviting me on to Authentically Detroit. It's so great to be here. It feels like this is the place to be, authentically heard, right? Especially being a lifelong East Sider. So thank y'all so much for having me on. But yeah, the boundaries are just like what you said, Sam, is the bulk of is the east side of Detroit. It also includes Hamtramck, the city also of Highland Park. And then there's a little bit of the west side, maybe 5 or 6 neighborhoods, Palmer Park, Sherwood Forest, Green Acres, Detroit Golf Club neighborhood, and University District.
Yeah, and we spoke today about how many candidates there are in this race. I mean, I didn't even realize there was another one there at the event. She pulled out her literature, and I'm like, oh my God, State Senate District 3. And she tells me the more the merrier. Hey, whoever wins.
Oh, Sam, listen,
it's tough. Name the candidates. I will do that. It's Eboni Taylor, who we're speaking to now. It's Adam Ollier, who we've spoken to on the show. It is John Conyers III. It is Corey Hall. It is Kimberly Knotts. It is
Toinu
Reeves. It is Toinu Reeves, and it also is. I know the Garrett family has.
Yeah, Latanya
Garrett has entered the race as well. And so, 4 women, 1 candidate that has a ton of money from a different race, right? The Secretary of State and perhaps some of his congressional money. We'll see if that ends
up.
We'll
see. We shall see.
Senate campaign coffers. But for folks that are not privy and on the inside of the baseball, as all 3 of us here are, the dynamics of the race seem to be pretty clear right now, where you have different Democratic identities in terms of, you got more liberal, more sort of progressive, more conservative. You have folks that are campaigning through clergy and through the church community. I would say Corey Hall fits into that. Certainly you're going to get most of, if not all the progressives are going to stand with you over Adam Ollier, who they've had concerns with since he was a state senator the first time. I know that you know Adam really well. Talk to us for folks that don't know. You told me, he's a good guy. You've known him since you guys were single digits, went to the same elementary school.
Adam and I hail from Foreign Language Immersion Cultural Studies School, which at the time, and it's still a gem of the city and of Detroit Public School Community District, DPS back, if you know, back in the day. Yeah. And so we hailed from Foreign Language Immersion. We were both basically, you are immersed in a language, and we were both in the same language, which was Spanish. And so we were both on the safety patrol together, and we've known each other since kids. I respect him. He's a family man, and I have nothing, in terms of who he is as a person. I have nothing bad to say about him. I do think we just stand on in two different spaces as it relates to this race, though.
Certainly. And I think voters have made it clear to me, even the ones who I would think would be aligned with Adam, there is a bit of fatigue with seeing his name on the ballot. He initially decided in this election cycle to run for Congress against Sri Tanadar, as he had before. And then he decided to run for Secretary of State. And then when it became clear that he wasn't going to do that, he's going to run for a different position. So you told me that you came into this knowing what you wanted out of the position, knowing that this is what I want. I'm not going to try to be musical chairing around. Tell me what you feel are the needs of residents in the third state district.
Before we go on, though, I want to clarify something. Just because somebody's nice, and I can say we've had very friendly conversations, does not mean that you are politically aligned with them. Yeah. I think the question is not whether Adam Ollier is a nice person. Mm-hmm. I think the difference is there are some political differences, and he and I have had conversations about this. He's been on Authentically Detroit before. So as you speak, I think it's important for people to understand what makes you stand out, because it's not just prior electoral mistakes that people are looking at. Can you kind of frame it so that we're not talking about nice? Because I don't vote for people.
Yeah, you're right. We're not voting on the basis of niceness, but I wanted to, me, Donna.
Well, I understand.
Everybody,
I know, but I think that we need to understand, because sometimes I think people are frustrated with what they see as a Democratic Party that doesn't ever stand for some of the things they want to stand for. And I think that's one of the differences that I'd like to.
Yeah. And so I think that framing is important. And I am running because, like you just said, Sam, we have Stephanie Chang is term limited. And there are a few other folks who are term limited too, Senators Erica Geis and also Sylvia Santana. And I believe strongly that we need, that Detroit and this district needs a mom's voice in Lansing. That's incredibly critical because they have led on issues that I have worked with them around, from maternal mortality, thinking about women who are incarcerated and pregnant, and moving the needle and lifting up awareness around a lot of the things that I actually worked on at Mother and Justice. And so without their voices there, I'm deeply concerned about parent issues being lifted, family issues being raised. And, this might be controversial, but, people keep saying progressive. I don't want to be put into a box necessarily. I want to go to Lansing and take the issues of my community with me. I want to go to Lansing and lift up the things that my parents are dealing with as they're in their 70s and they're aging, as we all are. I want to lift up the issues that my children are dealing with as two Black boys growing up in the city of Detroit. I want to lift up the affordability pieces that you referenced at the top of this, Sam, from car insurance to utilities to housing. Those are the things that people want to see change in their community. And those are the things that I'm going to Lansing with. I don't think we've had enough of the same old of people saying they'll do one thing and then they get there and special interest has them tethered. And that's just simply not me. If, win or lose, which I'm claiming that I'm winning this, right? That's what I'm sticking by.
Yeah. And how do you get more people to say what you're saying? I think there's a lot of momentum for voters saying we're tired of these politicians on the left and right being beholden to special interests over us, the people that send them into office. What does it take for somebody like you to exist? I mean, why do you put people over perhaps, a lobbyist?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
No, I just think that honestly, Sam, that's how I was raised. I mean, my father, Kelvin Wells, started the Chandler Park Neighborhood Association before I was even born, right? It's always about community. I've watched my parents take care of our neighbors who some have unfortunately, have unfortunately passed on, but I grew up watching my parents take care of their neighbors and their neighborhood. And I just don't see it any other way. I don't see, when I think about like Black liberation and as Black people, us getting to a better place economically and across all the health wise and across all the areas that I feel, we're suffering as a community. I don't see us getting to a better place without having leadership in the places where we need leadership to stand up and defend the real issues that we're all experiencing. For me, there's just simply no way around it. And so I'm going into communities. I'm going to community meetings. I'm going to elderly, homes and having the conversations that need to be had so that I'm lifting up the issues that people are telling me about. People are asking me if I can solve problems for them already. So I'm taking those things with me.
What those things are, though, because growing up in the Chandler Park neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
You've seen the changes.
Yeah.
Since you grew up.
Yeah.
And what do you attribute those changes to, and how you as state senator began to legislate around that?
Can you repeat it one more time?
How would you begin to legislate around those changes or trying to address those changes? Knowing what they are.
I think the first thing is, knowing what they are, sure, more broadly, but on this campaign trail, I think I'm understanding them more intimately. There was a woman who came up to me and was talking about how the city, she had a flat or a building that was connected to a city building, and the city tore it down and they didn't have asbestos remediation and they didn't handle it the right way. She was like, can you call someone and figure out how to, so that my building isn't further impacted? And, there's obviously the housing issue that, Donna, you and I have talked about intimately in the past. Making Detroit a more affordable place is going to start with taxes, right? And it's going to start with people being able to not only own a home, but remain in their home. Yeah. And that is something that our state's legislature can take up and actually make changes around. And so there are a host of things, but I think the first thing is just intimately knowing the stories. And that's what my plan is on this campaign trail, and working with organizations, right? Like ECN, working with folks who are not only experiencing the things, but also close to the solutions, because you've been working on you've been working on findings, right? You've been working on collecting data. And so I really want to work closely with community organizations, community-based organizations that already have solutions in tow. And again, take that to Lansing with me. That's the start. Obviously, to legislate is the next step, but that's the start.
What about environmental justice? I know that you just talked about asbestos, but one of the concerns that some people had, that was when one of your opponents, Adam Ollier, was in the state legislature, he did not always act in accordance with what people in environmental justice might want to see. Where do you get your thoughts around protecting us? I know even from a federal level, it's a problem. But how do you do it?
Yeah, I think that we need more. I think there's a little bit of modeling that exists at the national level in terms of legislation that we can bring into Michigan. Don't get me to lying about all the different names that have environment in them, the names of these legislations. But I know for sure I want to see more around environmental justice and how it impacts Black communities. I think in Michigan, there's just not enough studies and enough reporting done around, and enough legislation, right, that talks specifically to how Black people are impacted by, by air quality, and just thinking about the last meeting I went to in Jefferson Chalmers, right, and the water issues and the shoreline, and how that impacts the communities on the shoreline. Nearly 300 houses are there, and 70% of them have either fair to poor, they're fair to poor conditions. And so there are
more specific about that. What do you mean by shoreline?
Tracy Rubin, she's the chairwoman of the Water Project. And so I went to their last meeting. They were talking about some of the issues that the homes in Jefferson Chalmers are experiencing. And the houses that have access to water, whether on the canal or otherwise, I don't know if it's, the infrastructure around it, because this is not, one of my areas of expertise, but I'm growing in it. Mm-hmm. I understand that more than, nearly 3/4 of the homes that touch water on the shoreline are in, the barriers or the infrastructure is in poor condition.
Yeah, and there's a lot of flooding over there, right?
Say again, Donna?
There's a lot of flooding over there.
Yeah, the flooding. I mean, there are a host of issues that have been, I know, are going in front of the city right now to see how they can be remediated, where the money will come from. And so her and I were actually just texting today, and the next meeting is in May to see what has come of their meetings with the city. But when we talk about environmental justice, there are hosts of things. And I know Stephanie has been a champion for years, right, in her time in the House and in the Senate. And so I certainly want to, pick up and understand exactly where she's leaving that work and pick it up and take it further. And so staying in community, staying in conversation with folks like Tracy Rubin, with folks like you, Donna, who are intimately aware of the issues that Black Detroiters are dealing with, and all Detroiters are dealing with, is something that I'm dedicated to in this campaign and beyond.
Talk about, Eboni, your day job. I think a lot of people would be interested to know what it's like supporting Black women candidates from a DC perspective. I understand that's what you've been doing for the past several years. Talk about your job.
Yeah. I work for an organization that is based in New York, in Brooklyn, New York. But, most of the staff are actually now situated in DC. But anyhow, I'm the vice president of programs, and I essentially manage, number one, our programs, but two, our political action arm. And my team staffs our political action committee, which is comprised of Black women, political technicians from all over the country. And I have the wonderful task of helping to get more Black women into higher office to make our democracy more representative. And our catchment includes all federal races, all statewide executive races, and then the only local race we do. So we don't dabble in state ledge, but the only local race we do is we support Black women running for mayor in the top 100 cities by population. And the work is extremely, we're in a moment where it's like, it's a good problem, but it's a lot of Black women running for higher office. Each and every, say again?
No, go ahead.
Each and every year we're seeing those numbers increase.
Yeah. I understand that you just, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys were helping out Jasmine Crockett in her race against James Tallarico.
We were helping out Jasmine Crockett, and I had a conversation with her leading up to, which my organization, I think, played through social media or aired on social media. But yeah, we were supporting her, and I think that she is such a great sport, and she's just such a talented and intelligent woman. And I was very proud to lead on that work at my organization to help to get more Black women around the country, not only just Black women, but their networks, to get involved with her campaign, whether it was folks who were in Texas and could door knock, because some people actually traveled to Texas to door knock, or whether it was doing phone banking or giving right there of their dollars. We were able to help usher folks into her campaign across the country. And so obviously we didn't get the outcome that we wanted, but definitely, I mean, what she was able to do in such a short period of time was incredibly impressive. And I think it is just watching live and in the moment, folks be disenfranchised. It was really heartbreaking, and I don't know what will come of that. I know that some things are, headed to court, or if they're not already in court.
Yeah.
But
you're referencing the Dallas County situation.
The Dallas County. So essentially a lower court said that the polls could stay up until 9 p.m. Central Time. And then the Texas Supreme Court, into that 2-hour time difference, because the polls closed at 7 p.m. Within that window, they shut it down. And so that left people, honestly, some people, I was reading stories of some people who were in line by 7 o'clock, but hadn't made it up to the front to vote, were impacted. So even folks who actually were within the 7 p.m. window couldn't make it. And so I'm very curious to see what happens with the other votes that they have categorized as that folks who've tried to vote in that window or who did vote in that window. But I don't know if it'll have any bearing on the outcome that has already obviously been awarded to Tallarico. But, I think she's still an incredible job from Jasmine Crockett. And went on the next day to continue her job as a representative. So, yeah.
A lot of my friends, a lot of people that I know, and I'm sure you've heard it too, interpreted that as a rejection of Black women's leadership. At the same time, we saw that 2 Black women made it to the Democratic, are possibly going to represent Illinois in the Senate, which is, groundbreaking, right? And so do you think it was just the fact that she was a Black woman, or do you think that there were other factors at work? Because I think it can be very discouraging to people and disheartening to believe that it's, rejection of us as a people.
Yeah, I don't think it was a rejection of us as a people. In Texas, I know Texas has the largest Black population, but that still isn't enough for her to have gotten the numbers she did. And I think that's something to be celebrated. I don't think it's a rejection. We're talking Texas here, and what she was able to do the margins weren't razor thin, but they were close. What she was able to do and to be her authentic self, which is what people want right now, that should be celebrated. And yes, we just saw Illinois Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton make it out of her primary above Raja. His last name is blanking, but he is one of the top fundraisers for the Democratic Party right now, if not the top. I think it was between him and maybe, is it Cory Booker maybe? And he had loads of money and still could not defeat Juliana. And so I definitely don't see it as a rejection. I think that some people are still licking their wounds from Kamala, which rightfully so. But again, you know, if you haven't read 107 Days, she was up against an impossible thing as well. But I think people are still licking their wounds from that. But I think now even more, we're seeing people really starting to embrace Black women's leadership, embrace Black women's authenticity. And so that's what I'm carrying with me as I run this race for this 3rd Senate district.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. Because I think that it's true. And I think I don't want to be scared off. Every race is different. Every issue is different, but we're seeing progress, right? I
think so. And I'm seeing it honestly with my own 2 eyes every day. Yeah.
I know you have a hard stop at 4:45.
I could do a few more minutes, maybe five more.
Because we got a little late. We got started a little late. So what are you looking forward to in serving at the Michigan Senate? What gets you excited about this role?
I think what gets me excited is, well, Donna, you know, and I think you know too, Sam, of course, that I'm a mom. I have 2 little boys, and they're so just impressionable. Of course, they're 7 and 9, and I'm really excited for them to see. They know strength in terms of like muscles, and they're always trying to show off their muscles. But I'm really excited to show them strength in a different way, and a strength from their mother, strength from a Black woman. They see it already in my mom and in the women who lead that they know, their teachers, right? But this is something different. I think it just makes me chuckle. They think that when I first was like, hey, do you think mommy should do this? Should I run for office? Because they were helping me. They were helping writing. They were helping in 24 with the letter writing campaigns we did for Kamala, and, passing out, literature and talking to folks at Eastern Market, for instance, about 2024's race. And so one of my sons was like, mommy, are you running? Are you running like Kamala? And so I was like, not at that level, buddy. But so anyway, that excites me, number one. And number two, what excites me is that when I think about heading to Lansing, I think about folks like who we just saw, Sam, Rep. Tanya Myers Phillips. She is so genuine and authentic and brings her full self to her work. I'm excited about not only stepping into that role in that way, but also having folks who are there, who are leading in that way too. I'm happy and excited about stepping in with what feels like a new wave or cadre of like leaders, like with Denzel McCampbell, City Councilman Denzel McCampbell stepping up. I mean, it's a few of us that have known each other for years and years and years. And now we're sort of like stepping from the background and into the forefront to be the leaders we have always supported, and to be the leaders that we've been calling for quite a while. So that's what excites me.
You know, one of the things that people have felt, maybe it's just me, is that a lot of times the more progressive leaders in our state are not African American. And so there has been this position where you saw at one point Rashida and Stephanie sort of stepping out on some issues, and some Black politicians distance themselves from them. Well, they're not really us. And that whole game is changing because it's no longer, non-Black women representing Black communities in that way. We have Black leaders stepping up to the plate with the same values around environmental justice, around social justice, and really being willing to challenge the status quo. Because I think that's what excites me about certain politics is we got to challenge the status quo. If you keep on doing what you already done, you're going to keep on getting what you already got. What is your top issue?
My top issue I mean, it's so vague, but it's really the affordability piece, right? And it's you know, I don't think that you can run for anything right now and not talk about affordability. It's really the issue of like everyone's talking about DTE, you know, everyone's talking about housing. And I think for me, it's like, you know, affordability, but what's the first thing of those things? You know, insurance. What's the first one to lift up? My gut, and just based off of just living, right, being a Detroiter, is housing. And you know, working or being when Darnell and I were the co-chairs of the what was it, the Chandler Park Housing Committee or yeah. So, you know, I think that there's a lot that I learned from that experience that I want to bring into this conversation. But I think that there's still more conversations that I want to have and understandings that I want to gain. And what I'm seeing is that taxes is rising, is bubbling up to the top. So taking the scenic route to say, I think we need to tackle the issue of taxes for Detroiters so that they can not only get into their homes, but stay there. That's really one of my biggest things, if not the biggest at this moment.
Right now, our tax policy is driving middle-class Black Detroiters out of Detroit because it's more expensive to live in Detroit than it is to live outside of Detroit. And I'm hearing from a number of people that, wait a minute, I can get a bigger house, a better house outside of here for less and spend less on taxes than I can in the city.
And get to educate. I have a really good friend in Novi. We literally just had this conversation. She's like, Eboni, I have all the services that get here in 2 seconds. My kids can go up the street to Novi Public Schools. Her house is very beautiful, nice, and she's paying less taxes. She's paying less taxes than my parents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I hear a lot. The final question I have is around housing subsidy, because you can't make housing affordable unless you put some money in it, right?
Yeah.
And when I think about the history of housing in America and how it became a big thing, we know that there was a time when our federal government was financing and helping subsidize to make housing affordable. Homeowners did not just, mushroom and show up.
Mm-hmm.
White folks got help from the government. And not only us, but white folks got help.
And we were denied. Yeah.
Yeah, we were denied. And that's one of the reasons you have the wealth gap and everything else right now. But I'm just interested in your position on subsidy. And if you agree that housing has to be subsidized, where does it come from? Because you can't increase spending in one thing without decreasing it in another. I know you're running for office. Nobody wants to say they're going to raise taxes. But, we got to...
I think the answer, Donna, is going to come from, and I'm not just saying this, I hope you know that, I think the answer is going to come from staying in, first off, finding creative solutions. Yes, we have to pull money from somewhere, and I don't want to, I don't want to be someone who pushes for any increase, decrease in taxes here, but increasing them in another space. But I think it really will come from staying in communication and in community with people who are passionate about housing like you, but then also seeing what's done in other places and not just going there and taking notes and saying, oh, that's cute, but actually bringing the thing back to see if it's viable here in Michigan. And just like you said earlier, but in a different way or you were saying it for a different reason, but like we have to do different things to get different results. And I mean, that's how I would approach thinking about how we subsidize housing, because it's absolutely necessary that we give Michiganders help, and especially in this district, in District 3, it's going to be critical that we give people help to make it into homes and to keep their homes.
Well, I agree with all of that. I just came back from Elkland, California in October. Towards the end of October, I went with some community development professionals, and we noted that in Oakland, California, Mayor Barbara Lee is doing a lot of different things. And Not one thing, a lot of different things. I talked to Bina Elliott from the Opportunity Fund last week, and one of the things she's doing is investing in small landlords. People who own 1 or 2 houses. She's trying to create a fund that will help stabilize small landlords, because guess what? Folks who own 1 or 2 homes, there's 90,000 of them in the city of Detroit.
Yeah,
that's the largest sector of landlords, and the best sector, the least likely to evict people, the least likely to have blight violations, but we need to support them. And that's one way of affordable housing. Let's not always give it to corporations, right?
Yeah. And my parents would fit into that, right? Lord knows they've had some troubled tenants, and they tend to work with them and keep them in their homes. And I could probably just directly talk to Mayor Barbara Lee because she's one of our, we supported her in that Oakland mayor's race as well. So those are the things that I'm thinking about, Donna, when I say we need to think creatively and do things differently. And that's not just for housing. That's essentially across the board.
Agreed.
Eboni Taylor, you are a state Senate candidate running for that Eastside 3rd State Senate district. It is currently represented by Stephanie Chang, who has endorsed you. Eboni Taylor is a candidate among Kimberly Knotts, LaTanya Garrett, Adam Ollier, John Conyers, and Corey Hall. Eboni Taylor, thank you so much for joining us on Authentically Detroit.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we will be watching your campaign up until November. The election is August 6th.
Yeah.
That is the Democratic.
August 4th.
Correct.
August 4th, Sam.
I have my election dates all mixed up because guess what? We've just been in a constant year after year after year after year. November 2nd, November 4th, November 8th, November.
True.
First Tuesday of that August is the Democratic primary.
Yeah. It's
going to be really interesting to see. Obviously, you got some new faces and some old blood, some longtime candidates. So, Eboni, thank you so much for joining us today.
And I'll add that I probably need to give this disclaimer that Eboni is a member of the Eastside Community Network Board of Directors and has been supporting our organization. So that acknowledges that there is a little bit of bias there. I've known Eboni for a long time, and she's partnered and volunteered on behalf of our organization for years.
Yes, long time. But I thank you all for having me here. I mean, I would love to come back maybe closer to the election if y'all will have me, and really excited about what I'll continue to learn on this campaign trail.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Eboni.
Thank you.
We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be talking with Nafeesah Symonette, Rhonda Green, about the work that they're doing to give Detroit high school students resources, scholarships, something to do. We'll be right back with Authentically Detroit.
Interested in renting space for corporate events, meetings, conferences, social events, or resource fairs? The Stoudemire Wellness Hub and Match Detroit Small Business Hub are available for rental by members, residents, businesses, and organizations. We offer rentals for activities such as corporate events, social events, meetings, conferences, art classes, fitness classes, and more. To learn more about our rentals and reserve space, visit ecn-detroit.org/space rental.
It is great to see you guys here. I'm Sam Robinson. I have been a journalist in Detroit and in Michigan for some time now, and I'm so happy to be joining you guys on Authentically Detroit. When I heard the news that Orlando Bailey would have to be leaving, I jumped at the opportunity to take over for him in this capacity. One day we'll have to get you both back at Stoudemire and in person for one of these, but appreciate you joining virtually today.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And Nafeesah has a special relationship with, she was my husband's student when she was a little girl.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And so, yes, it's such a beautiful story because you never know when you're working with young people what happens next. And he is so proud to know, wait a minute, I had some impact on this amazing woman.
Yeah.
He absolutely did. I talk about him and Mrs. Ivory all the time. Like, they are a part of my story. And I would not be not only the artist, but just working as an arts advocate had it not been for my introduction to the arts through him and Miss Ivory. So,
well, let's talk about it on the podcast. So let's get into it.
Okay.
Welcome back, everyone. We are here on StreamYard today, virtually, Authentically Detroit, with Nafeesah Symonette and Rhonda Green of the Summer Arts Employment Training Program. This summer, up to 200 Detroit high school students, 14 to 17, they're going to receive hands-on arts training and work experience through a paid summer arts job this summer, thanks to the Summer Arts Employment Training Program, which is led by Heritage Works in partnership with Detroit Excellence in Youth Arts. Grow Detroit's young talent, and 10 arts partners are working across the city to provide creative training and paid workforce opportunities. Detroit youth will have opportunities to gain experiences in dance, in the visual arts, technical theater, youth-led arts education, or arts activism, while also developing workplace skills, including teamwork, communication, entrepreneurialism, project management. Founded in 2020, Detroit Excellence in Youth Arts serves as a catalyst for cross-sector collaboration to ensure all youth have equitable access to Detroit's rich cultural legacy and the transformative, power of the arts. The collective action of young Detroit artists, the youth arts providers, teaching artists, arts educators, arts donors, and parents to build the capacity of Detroit's youth arts ecosystem and deepen the investment into the local arts community. Heritage Works promotes youth and community development through cultural traditions, arts, and education. Their programs encourage personal, artistic, and community excellence by providing cultural understanding, skill, and tool development, as well as cultural fluency. Talking about art is something that a lot of people like to do, but a lot of people do it from sort of the outside. You guys are squarely in what I would call, this industry of youth arts. Talk about and I'm interested from Rhonda, Nafeesah, what brought you both to, a career in the arts and encouraging young people to be a part of it?
Rhonda, would you like to go first?
No, you can go.
Okay. Well, first, thank you all for having us here, just to share about what it is that we're working on this summer and how it came to be. Again, my name is Nafeesah Symonette, Executive Director of DEYA, Detroit Excellence in Youth Arts. And what led me here, as we sort of were warming up to start this recording, I was sharing about how Miss Donna's husband was my teacher when I was 9. I am quickly approaching the 50s. So that was a long time ago. But he was one of my first art teachers, my first art instructors at Young Artists and Company Incorporated. And it really set the stage for me. I worked as an arts educator, as a visual arts teacher in Washington, D.C. and in Prince George's County, Maryland for 13 years. But when I came back to Michigan, I wanted to my goal was to give to young people what I received at Young Artists and Company. That was squarely my goal. So I got my master's in arts administration and management at Eastern Michigan University, and just wanted to find my way through, some sort of arts nonprofit work and leadership. But I ended up being appointed by the governor to the State Arts Council, and operated as the arts education chair, and most recently was voted as vice chair for the council. And really left myself open to whatever the opportunities were by working on other arts committees, and partnered with Rick Sperling, who is the founder of Mosaic Youth Theater, which I'm sure your listeners are very familiar with. And so he and I together formed DEYA. And it really was the brainchild behind, this arts educator and this out of school time administrator, where we were thinking about what were the things that we didn't have as practitioners when we were doing the work in the classroom or in the out of school time setting. What didn't we have that we needed? And so that's how DEYA was formed. We wanted to fill the gap for arts educators, for arts administrators, for teaching artists, and for young people working in the arts, to support that work that they are already doing. We wanted to support it and make it sustainable. That's how I ended up here.
Well, thank you for sharing that. That's pretty interesting. It's I have so many friends, and I'm 20 years old, so the past 10 years of being around people that want to have a career or a life in the arts, and a lot of them just never figure it out, don't know how to do it. I think there is so much money and resource and time being spent on organizations that would not only give you a career in the arts, but it would help you do exactly the same thing that you're trying to do right now with a 10, 11, 12-year-old, 14, 15, 16-year-old. Tell them, hey, man, it is possible. I want to, just say personally, I had gotten to know your organization a few years back when I was at Axios. And I thought about, I've been mentioning and referencing it to people that I know that's like, man, you're really good with kids. Why don't you talk to kids about art, get involved in this way? Rhonda, I am interested to hear your story in being around the arts as somebody in an administrative role. When we think about arts and artists, you don't typically think you're going to be, looking at a spreadsheet or having to think about HR or anything like that. But here you both are. So talk about your journey through arts, Miss Rhonda Green.
Well, let me share that I'm a poet and a dancer. And so I've always loved the arts. I also did hard science undergrad. So it was really looking for the intersection of those things. I think we come to this workforce development program because, as you said, there's so much opportunity in the arts. We always think about somebody painting or, somebody on stage in front of the camera, but there's a lot of stuff off stage and a lot of stuff on stage that people can do or in front of a canvas, right? So it really is about opening up the world of art to young people. They may not stay there, but they will grow to have an appreciation of the arts. They might be a supporter, or they might be an artist, or like you say, an arts administrator. There are so many roles, technical, just across the board things that you wouldn't think of. We've been doing workforce development for about 15 years, and we have a marketing partner, right? We have an accounting partner. We've had one before. They didn't work with us last year. But, young people always come, and again, whether they stay in the arts or not, we feel like arts are a gateway to learning career development and to learning professionalism. So it's a way to walk into the work.
Yeah. Talk about.
Absolutely.
Talk about that.
Can I share one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that Heritage Works kind of looks at art through the cultural perspective, right? We started with African dance, and then we followed our young people. So we started doing a little bit of hip hop or street dance and other things, but we really just want to create spaces where people could be themselves. Right, for a long time. This is before Black Panther and before Sinners and the Piercing the Veil and before 365 Days. I'm dating myself. But we just wanted to create a place where people could be themselves. And the difference between art is a Western term for us. Culture is the big word, right? It's the way people express their traditions and their identity, who they are, their aesthetic, what makes them happy or sad, through whatever art form their culture, their ethnic group, embraces. I could talk about that for days, so I'll stop there.
Yeah, I get excited about it though, because I grew up, my mom is an artist and was an artist. And she went to art school when I was a little girl, and I used to go down so we spent a lot of time at the DEYA. And my older sister was very talented at drawing. And I think it would not be an exaggeration to say I am not very talented at drawing. So I consider myself not an artist, right? But I write. And so when I was younger, when she was in college, I was writing her poetry, and she turned it in and get good grades, and so, but we think of ourselves as either we're artists or we're not artists. And so my identity was I'm not an artist. And that really does impact you. So one of the things that my husband, Kevin, helped me believe is, no, you're an artist too. And I was like, no, I'm not. Look, I have evidence. Look, I can't draw. I can't. It's like, but I think doing this with teenagers, doing this with young people and helping them understand themselves as artists helps to give them a more full identity and a form of self-expression. Can you talk about how you work with young people to undo some of the damage that was done to me as a kid? It was not my mother's fault. Let me say this. My mother put me in an art class. My sister and I were both in the art class. And the art teacher is very well-known guy. I'm not going to mention him. He would take my sister's stuff and put it on the wall, and he'd take mine and throw it away. And so my mother pulled us both out of the art class because of that. But my message there was that my stuff was horrible. So anyway, Dawn.
I think we have overall, as a society, we have a very limited understanding or view of what the arts and culture is. And because of that, when we don't see ourselves as artists, when we say, oh, I can only draw a stick figure, I hear that all the time, right? Or I would have students that would come to my door and say, they would announce that they can't draw just to put me on notice as they come to my classroom. And, I reject that. I refer to all of my students as artists because that's how Mrs. Ivory referred to all of us as artists. But I think, again, that we need to broaden that scope. You're a writer. You're an artist, right? Fashion. If you're into fashion, you're an artist. If you are into gaming and you design things, you're an artist. If you love the way lights show up when music comes on, you're an artist. Like all of these things. And people, we have such this narrow and Western view of what the arts are that we don't encompass all of those things. And so many of us as young people take ourselves out of that space of being an artist. And so we feel very strongly that this summer arts employment training program puts young people back into that space. It gives them the place to say, I belong here. My creative self and my creative spirit and my creative energy is valid. And that makes me an artist. You don't have to know how to draw a portrait. I'm a portrait painter. That's my thing, right? And so if you see my work, somebody would say, well, I can't do that. That makes me not an artist. And that's just not true. So we're hoping that this summer arts employment training program opens up the lens, the view of what that is, and it captures, more young people in the arts and cultural space.
And I would just add, there's not a career that doesn't require creativity and innovation. Yeah. And that's about being able to think about things differently, to be able to take them apart and put them back together.
It's beautiful.
Right. And so if you think about it from the space of creativity, go ahead.
No, go on. I thought you were done.
I am.
I was going to say, the whole left brain, right brain, very Western, either you have left brain or right brain. It's like, don't we have a full brain?
No such thing.
It's so damn good. And it's so Western to put ourselves in these little boxes. And there's people, even the way some kids are educated, they're not educated to express themselves creatively. It's, what is it, 3 R's, reading, writing, arithmetic, and, and within reading, it's like very narrow. Within writing, it's very narrow. Have you seen your interventions changing young people? Rhonda, what do you do with Heritage Works, actually? Because I've heard of Heritage Works, but I'm not necessarily familiar with your work.
Oh, what do we do?
Everything.
Right. So we come from a framework called the whole tongue, right? Or the whole tradition. And so it is, let's just say art forms are languages from the Western orality or the West African orality. And so dance is kinetic language, right? Spoken word, of course, is verbal language. A drum is percussive language, or music is percussive language, and adornment is visual language. All these weave together to make the mother tongue. And so when you think of ballet, you think of white tulle, which is the dress. You think of, the position of the body and all that kind of stuff, which is the kinetic. As you think of all the languages we used to talk about ballet, and that reveals the culture of the people, right? On the other hand, when you think of like hip hop, right? Hip hop is the dance, streetwear, is the adornment, the language, rap, and so that reveals the culture of the people who made it, right? And so really what we do, through art, because again, art isn't something on the wall in other parts of the world, right? It's a way we live. Right. And everybody is an artist, or everybody's a creative if it comes to just fixing up your taxi or fixing up your home. Right. It really is to us about leveling, the playing field around what culture is. So there isn't a fine and folk art. There's just art. Right. Mm-hmm. And our culture is as important. That really is like the subversive thing we're doing. Right, we do it through African dance and all kind of forms, and we really feel with the way things have been put on our children, it's really important to take it off physically and through physical art forms.
Okay. So where are you located?
We're in North Corktown, Midtown area of Detroit.
And Nafeesah, you are located where are you?
We operate
anywhere.
We do not have a physical location. Nope. We operate virtually, so we can stick and move.
But you're inside of spaces, though, right?
Well, our goal is with DEYA is Rick likes to say we're the straw that stirs the drink. So we help to create platforms for collaboration. And this program is a perfect example of us creating a platform to bring multiple entities together in order to make this big thing happen. So it is, in addition to Heritage Works being the lead in this entire summer arts employment ecosystem, we also have Grow Detroit Young Talent as a part of it. Which is led by Connect Detroit. We have funding from multiple sources from Grow Detroit Young Talent and also MyLeap, the out of school time state grant funding. So we are just really blessed that we've been able to collaborate with a number of partners, and that this is very arts specific employment training. We have 10 site providers. This is our second year doing this. And last year we had 7, so it's growing. We have 10 this year. And they are all over the city in multiple disciplines, from visual arts to dance to theater, behind the stage theater work, lighting and sound. Oh, absolutely. Can I name all the partners?
Yes, absolutely.
We have this year Art Lab J, which is a dance studio specifically for young people. JIT Masters, you might be familiar with JIT Masters.
Yes.
Wise Partnership and Just Speak Incorporated. They do dance and they do spoken word as well. Lachelle School of Dance does dance. They focus on modern dance, contemporary ballet. Live Coal is a visual arts organization, and they just launched a children's art museum. Please go to Live Coal's website, Live Coal. I'm sure it's like livecoal.org or maybe .com. I'm not sure. But they are doing some incredible work. Mint Artist Guild, which you might be familiar with, Mint Artist Guild, that does visual arts work. They do entrepreneurship training for young people. Motor City Street Dance Academy, which is positioned in Southwest. They do hip hop, DJ and break dancing, all the street dance and performance. Q Blackout does a lot of, they do the behind the stage theater stuff. So they do sound, lighting, all the things that young people will want to know in terms of how to put a production on. The Jammin' production, they also do dance as well. And then finally, Detroit Windsor Dance Academy, which Deborah White Hunt I might get a slap on the wrist if I get this wrong, but I think they're in their 35th year. Do you know, Rhonda? They are
an elder statesman of dance and art in Detroit. Yes. We all look up to Deborah.
Yes.
And Bruce. So.
Yes, they are. They've been around for forever. And so they are a part of this as well. So those are our 10 site providers. And we are just excited to have them. We're excited that they've opened up their doors to offer this kind of, workforce training, entrepreneurship training and learning that young people will do. And in addition to that, they get paid for it.
Mm-hmm. So how would a young person who wants to work for you and learn more about arts get connected with you? They just go through the regular GDYT application process, or can they apply to you directly?
So there's a 2-step process. The first is to share their interests, that they want to be a part of this arts, summer arts employment training program, and they want to identify the kind of art that they want to participate in. And that's by going to DEYAYouthArts.com, DEYA Youth Arts, ARTS.com, and there's a QR code right there that allows them to submit an interest form. So that's the first step. Step 2 is going to GDYT.org and submitting the application. So 2 steps, interest and then application.
And when they submit the interest form, we will write them back and send them a code, because you can apply to GDYT and go into the general pool. But if you really want to be tied to our program, then we'll send you a code when we get your interest form, and you can enter that code when you register for GDYT.
That's correct.
I just want to say really quickly that DEYA is doing really powerful work. There are some things we cannot do alone. We can't do alone. We really need to work collaboratively together. Heritage Works has never been a lead organization. We're a member of DEYA. We've never been a lead organization, but through their work and goal of empowering their members, we get to do something we haven't been able to do before. We were a partner last year. Now we're the lead agency. How about that? Right? Because I just think they're creating ways for all of us to step forward, and it's really powerful.
Thank you for that, Rhonda. I appreciate that. And because of Heritage Works work, that's why we approached Rhonda and asked if they would be willing to take on this giant, lots of moving parts project in order to make it happen. Because we really wanted to work with a partner who, and present this idea to a partner who had workforce development as a core part of their understanding, their training, and how they engage with young people. And Heritage Works, as Rhonda stated earlier, has been doing this for 15 years or more. And so this absolutely was the right organization to be the driver of this thing. And we've been lucky to have the kind of partnerships that we have, not only with Heritage Works, but with all of these different arts organizations and Grow Detroit Young Talent. If I can offer just a few things for young people to know, and parents, again, the 2-step process is really important, filling out the interest and then the application at gdyt.org. And then the applications at GDYT are due by May 15th. Yeah. So you have some time, but not a whole lot of time. Get those applications in. The 6-week employment program is from July 6th through August 14th with an orientation and training at the end of June. So the actual paid time is from that July to August window, but there is a training and orientation at the very end of June that is required. And, we're looking for some really great projects to come out of this after that 6-week time is over.
That's great. Is there going to be a showcase at the end?
So each organization is doing something different. So we're hoping that, we put calendars and whatnot together. And so we've asked all of those providers to let us know, like, what will be the culminating activity or thing. So we should be able to share that. I think DEYA and Heritage Work should be able to share that on our websites and hopefully be able to invite the community.
That's awesome. Yeah. And just for people who don't know, we're talking about 20 hours a week, and what is the hourly rate? What are you paying the young people?
Is it $12.75? I always get the number wrong.
Yes, I know. I do too. I thought he'd gone up to 13
or $12.75.
Somewhere in there.
$12.75 and $13 an hour, 20 hours a week. Awesome.
Yeah. So 4 hours a day during the week. Some of the providers have activities on the weekend that they will be special to that particular organization, and they'll make sure that they coordinate that with the young people. But yes, 20 hours a week.
Yeah. So, I would imagine people should apply as soon as possible because it's going to be a competitive process.
Yes.
Imagine being able to do something you enjoy all summer and call it work. And so, congratulations on, I think, a really exciting project. I was not aware of this project last year, but definitely we'll try to send some young people who are really interested in the arts your way. Yes. We have our own program here, but everybody's not interested in what we do. And so I think that we want to make sure people get to what they're interested in. And I just really want to thank you for the role that you all play in upholding our culture, because arts is so important. And I love the way you frame it, Rhonda. Art is not something that you do, it's something that you are. It's how we express ourselves. And again, I'm just relearning myself all of this stuff that that you don't have to sit in that box in life. And so I think that what you are accomplishing is wonderful. And I hope to see you guys again in person, maybe after the summer, so we can talk about how things went.
Absolutely. We'd love to be back.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We are here with Rhonda Green of Heritage Works. We are here with Nafeesah Symonette. They are central to the local arts community as it pertains to young people. If you guys have not gone, you guys have social media. Where can they find more information about DEYA and about Heritage Works? Where can they follow you at?
They can follow us at Heritage Works.
And we are
Go ahead.
heritageworks.com, and then also DEYAYouthArts.com or at 313 DEYA.
Yeah.
Awesome. Rhonda, Nafeesah, thank you guys so much. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to close out the show with our annual weekly shout-outs.
Winter classes have started at the Stoudemire Wellness Hub. From chair yoga and strength-based fitness to nutrition, cooking, and wellness-focused classes, there's something for every person and every starting point. At the Stoudemire, our hope is to offer movement, nourishment, and community to support you throughout the cold season. Learn more at ecn-detroit.org/classes or give us a call at 313-571-2800.
And we're back. Welcome. Thank you for listening to Authentically Detroit. If you guys have topics, guests that you want us to talk to or discuss on Authentically Detroit. You can hit us up on our socials at Authentically Detroit on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or visit our website at authentically-detroit.com. Donna, I understand that you have an event happening at ECN next month that you want to promote.
Yeah, I do. We are having on April 16th, we are going to be breaking ground on the Angela Brown Wilson Gardens. And so we are inviting the people who have supported us financially to an event, but we're also having a community day. So we're going to have activities for the whole community to come out and enjoy our space, while at the same time we have a conversation with our donors, and we have a press conference to finally release our plans for the capital campaign. So you'll be hearing more about that as we get closer to the event. Let's just say I'm excited because it's been a long time coming. We've been planning this actual activity for a couple of years. We named it in honor of Angela Brown Wilson last year when we lost her. And so our heart is with her, and her sister is going to come and speak. We're also honoring Marlo Stoudemire, who we named our center after. So we try to honor the people who are in our community, because a lot of times Black folks don't get their names on things, and we need to preserve our legacies. But I also want to shout out, I did something really exciting, and I just finished my novel. And so I had a pre-release event, a pre-launch event last Thursday. And it's like, to say I don't do things like this, like for myself, everything I do is like through ECN. Like, so I have an event and ECN's helping to plan it. It was my job this time. So I was a little scared because I'm not an event planner, but the people who stayed, loved it. They gave me such amazing feedback. The book begins and ends with a poem. And so I read the poems and, really spoke about what that is. It's Women's History Month, and so it was all women. And I did that on purpose because as I was writing, I realized that I was really writing about the significance of Black women in creating just communities. And so I really wanted to honor our role and the fact that we haven't always been heard or seen. And I'm so proud to have so many women stepping out into the light. We just interviewed Eboni, but we now have Rhonda and Nafeesah, who are doing amazing things. We have a new mayor of Detroit. So shout out to women. It's our our second to last opportunity to shout out to women in Women's History Month, and especially my sisters, shout out to Black women, because we have, a lot of times we feel as though we're not seen or respected, and yet we do so much. Sam?
I want to shout out to another woman. Her name is Val. She's my neighbor. She is helping me take care of these leaves outside. Detroit residents, they deal with old rainwater drainage pipes in their streets and the far east side. Talking to the DWSD person, he says, we haven't gone over here. We don't know. And so apparently I'm new on my block. Every single year they try to contact the city. Val said, just forget about it, Sam. You're wasting your time. She was right. The city came out after my several complaints and put cones outside and did nothing about our public infrastructure. So Val, you're earning yourself a shout out on Authentically Detroit today because you're just so nice. And thank you. Listen to people that are your senior. Could have saved me some time. Nafeesah, Rhonda, you want to shout anybody out? Putting me on the spot. You don't have to. Shout out to you guys for joining us today.
Yes, well, thank you. Thank you both. Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Sam, for having us. I'll shout out my alma mater, Eastern Michigan University. Go Eagles. And my family. I'll shout out my family. My husband, Nick Symonette, and my children, Nicholas and Nadia. They are my why I do this work. So thank you again for having us.
Fellow MAC alum. I'm a Western Bronco myself.
Rhonda, shout out Judy Bowman and Marguerite. Judy is planning an exhibition in Flint, and it includes the work that she did for my book. And I'm just really proud of the work. She shouted us out in Facebook. And Marguerite has just been running all over sharing the book. As you probably know, Donna, when you do a book, it's a lot of press work that you have to do. But it's always nice when women support women, and they've been helping me do the work because I've been doing other things. So I shout out Judy and Marguerite.
So Rhonda, your book, talk about
Yes.
it. Talk about it.
I wrote a book called Are You Sleeping? It's 10 poems by, I think, 7 Detroit artists. So 10 poems and then illustrated. They're really childhood nursery rhymes that are reinterpreted for today's social justice. Because, a lot of poems or nursery rhymes were really social justice back in the time. And they were illustrated during those days. So we went to Detroit artists like Judy Bowman and asked them would they illustrate each work. And so again, It's a fairly short book, but I think it's powerful.
Where can we get that?
Oh, I think, I'm sorry, go to our Heritage Work site and search for Are You Sleeping? Okay. That's probably the easiest way.
Rhonda, thank you so much for putting yourself on there. Nafeesah, thank you so much for joining us as well. You all listening in are listening to our effort to build a platform of authentic voices for real people in the city of Detroit. This is Authentically Detroit. Please like, rate, and subscribe to our podcast on all platforms. We will hear from you guys next week. Thank you so much for listening.